Hello, welcome back to another video supporting the implementation of the physical education and wellness curriculum. This video is part of our spatial awareness series, and in this video I'm going to do a quick look into the specific KUSPS, the skills and procedures that we are going to be using to evaluate and to kind of guide our scope and sequencing for our elementary physical education program. So we're going to jump right into the KUSPS. Early on when we were looking at the specifics of the curriculum, we talked quite a bit about how the curriculum has been kind of framed in order for us to really dial in on the specific skills that we can track across grades. So remember, our KUSPs stand for knowledge, understanding, skills, and procedures. The K part, that first column of our curriculum, is what students need to know. Right? What used to be called kind of like our outcomes. The understanding part is the middle that gives us significance to the knowledge statements and extends what the knowledge was talking about. And the last piece, the S and the P, this is what students will need to do to demonstrate their understanding. These are pulled right from the Learn Alberta PE implementation video series. Here we are. So, and again, remember, there's a lot of complexity in this program because we're now looking at wellness as a holistic framework. So all of our healthy relationships, the character development, safety, growth and development, financial literacy, that big movement and skill development. For me, that's the number 2 as it's delivered. And that also that active living piece and healthy eating. I don't want to forget that one. And the last piece of this embedded outcomes is in this movement skills piece. So our first kind of big idea is about active living. The second one, or the organizing idea, the OIs, the second one is on movement skill development. So the overarching movement skill development piece is for body awareness, is body awareness facilitates movement. That's what it is. Okay, body awareness facilitates movement. That's what it is for the B part. And body movement, or what is fair play? So for 2 of these big subcategories within our existing like OI, we have these 3 specific subcategories. Okay, so tactics, in that one under the 2A, we have spatial awareness, tactics, adaptation and modification of physical activities. The movement skills, these are our fundamental movement skills, our locomotive activities, our levels, our skipping, hopping, all those kind of minches, our adventurous play, which gets into our gymnastics, some of the outdoor stuff, elements of movement and movement patterns. So a lot of the stuff in the 2B is going to be our next series. So that one's all on how do you actually teach kids to throw, to catch, to bat, to kick, to receive. All of those fundamental movement patterns is going to be our very next series in this series. Okay? So this one we are specifically looking at those 2A KUSPs. So the 2A and elements of the 2B, these are the efficiency of spatial awareness and movement skills. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to drop right into a document. Is this the 2A? Yeah, movement pullout. So the documents that I spent a good part of this last year developing are all based around development. There we go. Are all based around allowing people to quickly see what is going on in the curriculum and across the grades, especially for our phys ed specialists. This was the piece that I was struggling when I first started working with this new curriculum. So in here, as you can see, our kindergarten, we actually have 1 body awareness. SP, 1 KUSP. And what we're evaluating here is, do they practice movement with spatial awareness? So in the last video we talked a little bit about truck and trailer, we talked about Yoshi, we talked about cones and hoops and finding treasure. There's also about 6 different tag and spatial awareness games in those resources that you can be using. But that's ultimately what we're looking for. It's very broad. In grade 1, demonstrates various ways to move safely through space. Again, truck and trailer, tag games. We're going to talk about relays in the next video. Do they demonstrate appropriate responses to environmental cues? Okay, so when you take a look at this one specific area, we can get at it fairly quickly. Here again, grade 2, scans and assess surroundings to support spatial awareness. SA stands for spatial awareness. Refines movement in relationship to people. As kids add complexity to something like truck and trailer, we go from walking to jogging. Okay, can they now vary their speed? These are all the things that we can now kind of embed within our instruction to see how they're getting on. Modify and adapt gameplay based on awareness of spatial changes. So again, modify speed, modify space. One of the best things that I can think of to do if a group is getting good, put them in half the gym. Now can they find open space? So I'm not going to read through all of these, but I do want you just to have an idea of what the end game is. So by grade 5, let's just jump ahead. By grade 5, choreograph creative strategies and tactics. I love the word choreograph in here. Okay, as a dancer myself, this whole notion of choreography is really what a lot of plays are revolved around. So we're doing some basketball. Maybe we're going to give kids an opportunity to come up with 2 plays that they can call out. Adjust strategies and tactics based on strengths and participation in physical activity and games. So this comes down to a little more advanced on the tactics side, but can we now have a group say, okay, who's our strongest thrower? Maybe we're going to let them be the quarterback when we're at this part of the field because we know they can throw it all the way to the end. Maybe we have 3 quarterbacks on a football team if that's what we're doing. And if someone can't throw as far, they get to be the quarterback as soon as we cross half. So it's these flexible ways of working through different ideas. Just for your information, this full Excel spreadsheet is also available. And in here, here's the 2B. So in this one, this is the movement patterns. So this is the throwing, the kicking, all of that kind of stuff. And then we also have one for the social emotional. So in this one, we're going to have all notions of fair play. We're going to have the notions of, on the side here, teamwork, positive interactions. So these are the soft skills. So each one of those has their own pullout. When you print it off, it's a little squishy, but it does fit on one side of one piece of paper. As a phys ed specialist, this to me is, once I do it, I can check it off and move on. Okay. So that's some of the work I've been working on throughout the year as well. Let's go back to my little presentation here. So when I first started talking and running sessions on the new physical education curriculum, the number one thing that I found that people were struggling with was how it looks like there's a lot of KUSPs to cover for every grade, just the way the curriculum is kind of laid out. And what I'd like to show you is my way of tracking things, just as a notion that there is efficient ways to do it. Now, remember, I'm a teacher. I'm doing this stuff every day. It's not something that I have a master's degree in, but this is stuff that I've gotten from some of my mentors and worked and worked and worked. So build your own system, but I want to give you a few ideas that might streamline that for you. And the neat thing is that with some basic planning, you can cover these KUSPs probably within what you're already doing within the gym context. Now, some of the financial literacy stuff, we're working on that. I just spent some time with a grade 3 teacher, and we came up with some really cool relays for both financial literacy and also some of the healthy eating components. So we are working on ways to still do this within a physical context. But when you get a chance to look at your specific grade that you're teaching, especially if you're a generalist, the specific grade that you're teaching, and you'll see that you can probably hit those KUSPs 2 or 3 times in the year and get an idea of how your students are progressing. And with this tracking tool, we'll take a look at as well. Other key terms. So there are lots of things that when we look through the KUSPs, these words show up. So what is personal space? It's your personal space bubble. That one's pretty self-explanatory. General space. General space is going to be your playing area or your greater playing area. I have a stage that has an unrailed stage. That's a big part of my general space that we constantly have to remind kids not to hide in their stairwells and stuff like that. So if you have a student moving through space and is aware of their personal space, that's what they're trying to do. Oh, I hit my mic. My apologies. Locomotion. Locomotion is just travel. There's so many different ways of locomotion that we're going to kind of explore in the next video as well. Non-locomotor, that means you're stationary. So any non-locomotor skills would be like jumping, unless you're moving forward. It could be bending, twisting, all of those elements of movement where we're not moving around. Levels are a great thing to do in a non-locomotor way. Symmetrical, same. Okay, just like Brad Pitt's face, Angelina Jolie. Okay, if you cut their face and flip it, it's almost identical. Symmetrical, 2 hands up, 2 hands down. Asymmetrical is the opposite. So things that are different from side to side. Comes in play when we get into the creative aspects. So in order to assess students, we do have to have some basic vocabulary to talk about. This includes making sure students know what body parts are. I'm pretty big into using proper terms as much as I can. So introducing muscles as early as grade 4 and 5. Biceps, not forearms. Okay, quadriceps, not thighs. Again, it's up to you to decide how you want to do that, but can kids identify their upper and lower body, left and right sides? Even though I still struggle with left and right. Levels, high, medium, and low. Okay? If we're having them move through space, are they aware of what these mean? Do they know what they feel like in their body? Left and right. Directions in the gym. I have a stage. I have an exit wall. I have a climber. I have an equipment room. Okay? Can you put the cardinal directions up? Some really neat things that you can do by embedding some of the indigenous ways of knowing into this if you do have cardinal directions in your gym. Okay, there's a lot of really neat links to some of the medicine wheel teachings I know Calgary Board of Education, we now have our own indigenous framework that's based around the cardinal directions. Something to think about there as well. Top, bottom, front, and back. And I know this sounds so basic. It's so basic, but you got to remember that not every kid is physically aware anymore. Right? There's a lot of kids that I know I teach who just don't go outside and play. They spend most of their time inside, not doing much. Speeds, fast, medium, and slow. How do you define this? Is slow a walk? Is slow a crawl? Is medium a walk? Is fast a run? Or is it a different parameter? So just like any good rubric, we do need to have this notion that fast, this is what fast looks like. So we're not just going to use the word. And the other one is this, references. Can students stay inside the cones or outside the cones? Can they stay on the mat? Can they go behind a line? In the lower elementary, it is hilarious because you can have kids stay inside the red line and they don't know what that means. So can we create a game to make that fun and have them more aware, not just what they're looking forward, but what they're looking down around as well? And again, why is that important? Well, the big reason for me why that's important is that that's every invasion game. Here it is. I also want to draw your attention to this neat little document. This is a document from the Quebec government, and it's all about progression of skills. So the reason I really like it is that they take a simple concept like of time and space, and it gives you a bit more of a scope and sequence, and this is by grade over here, or cycle is what they call it. So again, identifies reference points inside a hoop, outside the mat, distinguishes directions, estimates distance. There's actually some Indian games from East India that are awesome because if you hit a ball, you have to estimate how far it went before you can run. Okay, but this one here, this document, levels of balance, so it breaks down some of those, but it also goes into your locomotor skills and gives you an approximate idea of when they can do this stuff. I use this with my adaptive physical education quite a bit because I might have a grade 9 student who joins me and has some physical limitations, and they can basically walk but can't skip. So these little things kind of give you that guide to say, okay, this is where I'm starting. Just like a student in my math class who shows up and is working at a grade 3 level, I have to modify that program so they can have success. Okay, there's that one day. Resource, document from PE Shed. As I said, I do have some tag games that I've already written up for you there. And the last thing I want to go to is my assessment document here. So let me just find it. I just had it loaded up here. So when we come to assessment, as I said, if you have these documents or you have your curriculum with you, what this enables you to do is to kind of pick what you want to be working on for that week, for that month, for that section, whatever it is. So this is the tracking tool that I've developed for teachers. And again, the Excel version, you can copy it, it's yours. You do with it what you want. So in here, if we look at grade 3, so here I have a student name, and these numbers are the big work that I've put in because this is the piece that was slowing me down when I was trying to evaluate my students. So these all reference specific KUSPs from that grade level assessment or that grade level curriculum. Okay, so for example, 2A is the one that I'm looking at here. So if I go into 2A, which is right here, 2A, grade 3, 2A. So that's applied tactics and physical activity, assesses effectiveness of tactics in physical education. So if that's what I'm working on that week, it's not the only thing I'm going to be working on because that's not enough. I'm probably doing some kind of manipulative motion. I'm also looking at a sportsmanship. I'm looking at a teamwork KUSP. So during that week or that unit, when I'm doing that, as I see it, I'm going to make marks on this sheet. If you prefer to do it in some kind of digital format, beautiful, go for it. Okay? I'm still a pen and paper guy. I'm a clipboard guy in the gym because I want to be able to do things quickly, and I find technology, number one, breaks and it slows me down. The technique that I use is from that pedagogy series that I had mentioned. So if a student's a 1, it's a 1/, 2 is a 2/. If they get a 3, they get a hollow circle, and a 4 is a solid dot. The reason I use this is so I'm able to help I'm able to track progress a little more. So if they improve or they go the other way, they get worse, I can actually change my mark without having to erase it. So that's a quick thing. With that assessment, I also have these print-offs that match the grades exactly by their KUSPs. And really what I have done here is I just take the S&Ps. I have the full curriculum I can reference, but really what I'm looking for is I'm looking for their specific SP, the skills that they need to do. So I put this on the back of my marking sheet, and that way I can quickly reference it. I know which ones I've circled that I'm focusing on, and then I can keep track of what I'm seeing. Okay, I'll just get through all this stuff here. Already looked at that. Other than that, that's this little section. The next video we are going to be looking at is on creativity, how to use dance and gymnastics to inspire movement while you're working with spatial awareness. Thank you so much. I hope to see you in the next video.